It's another Star Wars Armada Explained. I'm Karnak. Today we're going to look at the Turbo Laser upgrade card XX-9 Turbo Lasers. How can you tell it equips to the Turbo Lasers upgrade slot? You look at the bottom left hand corner of the card. You will see the Turbo Laser icon. This card costs 5 points. The card reads critical effect, just any critical icon. It doesn't specify a color. It says the first 2 damage cards dealt to the defender by this attack are dealt face up. So this card is pretty straightforward. Say we've got an ISD-2 here. He's shooting at another ship. You just simply make sure you are eligible to make an attack. In this situation, we're going to say it's going to be made at a close range. So again, ranging is, close range is anything in the black or clear circle, medium range is anything in the blue circle, and long range is anything in the red circle. So we're going to say this is going to be at close range. An ISD-2 shoots 4 red die and 4 blue die out the front naturally without any modifications or upgrades. So that's what we're going to say we're going to do. So here's the 4 red. Here's the 4 blue. Now, for this card, when's its timing and how does it resolve? So after you roll your initial pool, then if you have any cards or abilities, that's when you activate them. That's when you add dice, modify dice, re-roll dice, do all that. And as soon as you're done messing around with your attack pool, and I'm going to set that to a crit because I want to talk about that in a little bit. You're done with your attack pool. You say, okay, opponent, now you can resolve to use your defense token. So XX-9s don't immediately resolve right away. Your opponent has the ability to try to either remove or mitigate those critical effects. Well, how? Well, during the spend defense token step, if he has any defense tokens potentially that can cancel those die, maybe make you re-roll those die. Maybe he's got, for example, a damage control officer, and if he has a contain token with a damage control officer, he can just outright stop any critical effect going off. Because the timing window for when critical effects happen is in the resolve damage step, which is after the spend defense token step. So say you have gotten through the spend defense token step, your opponent is not able to remove or mitigate your critical effects. Now you're in the resolve damage step, and that's when you say, okay, now I am resolving XX-9s, and I'm going to say I am utilizing this card. And then if you manage to get any damage into his hull, so in this example we're going to say, the shields are all gone off the ship, you've hit him, you are definitely going to deal 2 damage to him. Now typically when you resolve a standard critical effect, meaning you're not modifying it in any way, you only deal the 1 face-up damage card. Unless, of course, a ship uses contain, which stops standard critical effects from resolving, meaning that instead of having it dealt face-up, it's dealt face-down. A kind of really cool interaction with XX-9s, and a lot of people don't realize this is technically considered a modified critical effect, meaning a standard contain will not contain this card because you're choosing to elect to resolve a critical effect. So the only way you can stop a critical effect is with a damage control officer, or as I mentioned before, removing these die with the critical faces showing. So we're going to say in this example, we're going to pull some cards. So the first card is dealt face up. You flip it over, you resolve anything that it says on the card before then moving on to the second face-up card that you then draw and then flip face up. Now, XX-9s does have some interesting interactions with, for example, assault proton torpedoes and fire control teams. I have videos for both of those cards. You can see those interactions, but in a nutshell, just know that APT counts as the first face-up card before... APT counts as the first face-up card of the 2 if you're using both of those cards, for example. and you somehow manage to resolve both the critical effects, which is again resolved through fire control teams. Again, watch those videos; they go over it in more detail. Just know there's some interesting other interactions of XX-9 that I don't need to quite explain here. That it can't resolve unless you're utilizing these other cards and other interactions. So specifically, go watch the fire control teams video. It will explain everything. But that is XX-9 Turbolasers. If you feel like, oh, and there is no errata for this card, no clarifications. If you do I feel like I got anything in error or something is wrong, please be sure to leave a comment, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching.